Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we'll be watching part 8 of Let's Game It Out's version of Satisfactory. And this one is, I produced so much nuclear waste, the world is ruined forever. And I still think this is before water, so water was what, update 3? Update 4? So there's only a couple videos left in this, so either they start taking bigger breaks in between the episodes, or he's behind on a couple of updates now, because update 8's out now. Anyway, let's get into it.
Hey there, it's Josh. Welcome back to Let's Game It Out. Oh my god, it's time for more Satisfactory. Oh, how I missed you, Factory with no rules, limits, or
To be fair, this actually looks pretty good.
logic. Satisfactory is a game about making efficient machines. Or in my case, just find new and inventive ways to torture the game. First, we built a factory that was actually kinda normal, until I realized you could make it look like this.
Yep.
And then I made it look like this, and I realized the frame rate gets worse, which excites me. And then we tested those limits by building a tornado out of conveyor belts, and it's actually kinda pretty. Just don't look directly at it, unless you like slideshows. Then I saw this empty valley, and I thought, you know what this could use? A conveyor belt weave.
Okay, so that was that huge valley with the giant... There's like a giant creature in that area that instantly kills you at the very beginning of the game if you have no gear. But I guess you could just ride over with the truck, and I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Not to be outbeaten, we went back over to Beltnado here and turned it into a full-fledged cocoon. After that, we moved on to other interests, like messing with these trucks here, only to realize that if you throw them all in a pit like this, they become sentient.
Okay, when I saw him make like a couple of them, I was like, oh, okay, you know, like 30, 50 or whatever. But this is like 1,000.
Try to escape.
Do you know how many computers this thing? Actually, I can't remember if trucks require computers. But I do know that they basically never disappear.
And I thought we might be done. And then those crazy developers just kept updating the game, so I kept trying out their new stuff. Like this beautiful train station that you can even custom name. And boy, did I custom name it. That's when I realized...
By the way, they fixed that. So if you have a save file that has custom names that go on forever, it's basically permanently like that unless you change it. With the exception if you have a mod.
Realized we could send them through the earth and straight to hell. And then at the tail end of the last episode, we realized one last thing left to do. Nuclear power. Oh, and also, today's video is sponsored by NordVPN, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Oh, and before we head to our first destination, check this out. The game actually runs better now, and this blows my mind. My god, the performance in...
You can actually look at it? Okay, so they had to have used this guy's save file to fix that thing. I guess what they probably did was, this game is kind of operated in chunks, and this is obviously before water, so the chunks were pretty big. Now they're a lot smaller, and they render a lot better, which is great when you have 8 people on the server.
Increase is amazing. This thing doesn't destroy my computer anymore. Like, I can run up to it, I can bask in its majesty. It is a brave new world. So what are we gonna do today?
Good job.
Play around with nuclear power, of course. We built this guy at the end of last episode, and our first...
Coffee Stain Studios has probably one of the best community managers. Well, right now it's Snit, it was Jace. Both of them together are great, but as far as community managers go for games, this company had some of the best.
First step to nuclear victory is we need to go mine some uranium and shove it into this thing. Last episode we used our little locator guy here to find uranium, which was a little ways away. But the bigger hurdle is this stuff will kill you if you get too close to it. And that's why we brought this lovely thing. A hazmat suit. Strap it on, makes you look super cool. Now we're ready to...
At least they fixed that issue. Before you could only have a certain couple of things on you at any one time, but now they have like 5 or 6 actual slots, so you can actually hold a lot more stuff. You know, you can have your hazmat suit on while also having the I forgot what they are. They're the blue like leg things that allow you to not break your ankles when you fall off cliffs.
Go face the elements. You know what? Let's do it with style in our beautiful, sexy car.
Get
now
the
I feel like
Cybertruck.
I took a wrong turn somewhere, but I'm gonna have faith that this is the right way. Well, everything's green. I feel like that's sort of a good sign. I think we're going to the right place. Yep, we definitely are. I see little bits of ore here. Oh, hello, cat friends. These are supposed to be spiders in the game, but for everybody...
Okay, I think they removed this because it also terrified other people.
Benefit, I turned on the arachnophobia mode, which turns them into these creepy cat heads, which I think we can all agree is a little worse than just spiders. Anyway, we'll just take care of them in short order, no big deal. Oh, you want some too, do you? Let's get this nightmare over with. Okay, where was I? Putting down our beautiful mining drill, that's what. Never has anything in a cave looked so majestic. So right now, this thing doesn't have any power, which honestly is for the better, because if this thing is pulling out uranium while we have it set up, we're just gonna be taking on lots of radiation. Oh, did I mention to find this, I had to go through a waterfall. It's true. I wandered around for like...
Wow, he's using Mark 5 conveyor belts, man. The amount of stuff he has just building is probably ridiculous, but because it's all over the place, it probably takes
an
forever
hour
to find
before
stuff.
I figured out it's back here. Okay, finally ran the conveyor belt all the way home. We're gonna stage our uranium over here. You may recognize this little place over here. In a previous video, this is where I had all of my trucks. You know,
I guess he had to delete them all.
The ones that turned into a sentient species, and then I had to put them down, otherwise the game would never run again.
Yeah,
so we're gonna stage everything here because we can't just send the uranium over raw.
Here's the thing, though. In order to get rid of all those trucks, he had to manually delete them all. Do you know how long that would have taken? Well, actually, no. Maybe he didn't. He could have saved it right before that. That's what I would have done. I would have saved the game file right before attempting that nonsense and then just loaded that file back in without it. That's probably what he actually did.
We gotta make two things first. Uranium cells and electromagnetic control rods. Uranium cells are the uranium itself as well as concrete, and the electromagnetic rods are stators and AI limiters. Easy enough, let's make a couple assemblers. We'll just place one here, and also just kinda over there. We're also gonna send our uranium into this guy over here, which by the way, we haven't connected the power to that thing yet, so let's do that now. Okay, here we go. So now that we've connected the power, all we have to do is wait for the drill to do its thing and bring the uranium to us. While we wait, let me tell you about the sponsor for this video, and that would be...
The only downside, though, is let's say you put a Mark... I guess he has a Mark II miner in there. It probably still won't max the speed for the Mark V belt, though. It might. I think I have to go back and redo the math or whatever. Let's see here.
At checkout to get that extra free month. NordVPN, thanks again for sponsoring me. And there it is. For the record, it took about 4 minutes,
so
and it still hurts to get in here, right?
Accurate.
Oh boy, does it ever. It's kind of a shame. It's so pretty to look at. It's like a bunch of Slimers just on a conveyor belt. So this guy over here is going to be for our uranium cells. The uranium we obviously have, and right in front of us at the center of our base is some concrete. Okay, and there's the concrete, as I slowly die to radiation poisoning. Now this thing's doing the magic of making uranium cells, and for our control rods, gotta grab them stators and AI limiters. Alright, AI limiters for days, and these are the stators. Thankfully, I have pretty much all of these materials being built somewhere in my base, and I just need to find them and route them over here. Now that those two things are underway, we have to turn to our old friend...
They need like Mark 8 belts, but but I guess there's a point where it doesn't render right after a certain speed, and it causes memory overloads.
And the manufacturer, which we're going to build down
this game
here
is
for
already
kind of no
intensive.
reason. And in this thing, we're going to build nuclear fuel rods, which is what can finally go inside the nuclear reactors. My favorite part about this, very radioactive. That's what I like to hear. First, we'll send these uranium cells down there. Okay, that's 1 down and 2 down. So that connects our 2 nuclear things. To finish off the trifecta, we just need to get ourselves some of these encased industrial beams, which I just happen to know where there's a lot of them. It's like all the stuff I built previously was all building up to this. Also known as, thank God my production is so imbalanced, I just have extra random crap everywhere.
Yep.
See if we can't work quickly here. I seem to be taking on a not insignificant amount of radiation poisoning. And there we go. And we'll just send these beauties right over there. And since I've already got my medical inhaler out...
Yeah, at least he has the inhaler stacked.
This calls for a celebration puff. Now that I've taken on 10 generations worth of radiation sickness, I'm just gonna stare off into space for a bit and let my empire just grow. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape now. So many beautiful
So, I don't know, I'm gonna say at least 12 hours. You just kind of just like sat
rods. Now comes the fun part, where I route fuel rods all over the map and wonder...
The only reason I say that is because his production is all over the board, which means there's no way that it could have made them remotely quickly. I mean, it's probably like 2 minutes for each rod. Hundreds of them.
If I'm gonna melt my face off. Almost there.
Thousands, actually.
Finally, after all that, the fuel rods are in the thingamajig. Machine looks to be working, and boy is it a thing of beauty. Now the only thing left to do is hook it up to power. I thought that'd be more exciting. Ooh, but that smoke is... My God, look at that jump.
Yeah,
our capacity for power was 4,400, and then we brought the power plant online, and now it's 6,900. That is quite the leap. So here's the other thing that happens with nuclear power. We get delicious, beautiful waste. Extremely radioactive. And what are we gonna do with that nuclear waste? Well, build a bunch of conveyor belts that zigzags it through this waterfall, of course. And I'm using the slow conveyor belts because I want all that radiation goodness to get all in the water supply. And then once it's its slow journey is complete. All that tasty waste.
Okay, someone needs to create a mod to where that actually would cause huge issues across the world. I know that's not going to work because their world is kind of static and you can't really change much in it. But I bet you a lot of other games you can totally do it.
Goes into this bin for future generations to worry about. Okay, first nuclear power plant done.
Now you're
and
gonna
while
build like 30, aren't
satisfied
you?
we could get that first one off the ground, I feel like there's so much more we could be doing. This gives me an idea. I can't help
He's going to build one at the top, isn't he?
but think being able to look at the cocoon again is a blessing in disguise. So for the first time in a long time, we're going back in. It's been so long since I was able to climb in this thing. Here we are in the belly of the beast. These, of course, being our 3 oil refineries. I'm tempted to go back and change all of these Mark 1 conveyor belts to Mark 5, but even I hurt imagining how long that would take. We're now here at the halfway point. You can tell because the iron rods stop and the oil begins, so I don't actually think there's an opening. I think I have to make one to get out. Nope, wait, found my opening. I'll just fly my way up there. Hopefully I don't run out of fuel for my jetpack. It's a long way down. And here we are at the very top. I know I've said it a couple of times, but I cannot stress how bizarre it is to be able to look at this thing and the frame rate.
Technically, you could use jump pads.
Maintains. Look at the dumpster that is my factory setup. God. Like at this point, even I can't tell what goes where. So I keep forgetting that there's like stairs and walkways, and it would be really useful because we do need to find a way to get up there fast. But no one likes taking stairs, so I found a better way to get up there. It's called a bunch of bounce pads all over the place. Here, let me show you what I mean. It starts with this bounce.
You can do a lot of crazy stuff with trucks too.
Pad right over here. So we just jump on this conveyor belt, which will launch us in at the right angle. It'll take us over to this bad boy, and it'll just start bouncing us all the way up to the top. And the nice thing is it's all set up so I don't have to do anything, and I can just bask and look at our factories, really just enjoy the ride. Oh, shit. I'm not even moving anything. It's just bouncing me for me. So I can just look around at the nice surroundings, really take in all the beautiful scenery. Are you fucking serious? Or I can just hold on for dear life and hope the whole thing works. Honestly.
Okay, at least they fixed it in this was before they added the blue, I guess, marker to tell you where you're actually going to land. Before, it was just randomly guessing each time, which probably took forever.
It works about 10% of the time. It's the best. But it gets you close to the top of the cocoon, so beggars can't be choosers. Oh, here we are coming in for a landing. Bounce off this backboard. Here comes the final bounce. I can't think of a better way to get to the top of this spiral. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, what's the plan? I mean, if you look out there, you can already see our nuclear power plant dumping nuclear waste down below.
You're gonna
so
put one on
here's what we're
top.
gonna do. I know this seems like sacrilege, but we're gonna cut the head off of the beast. And I know it seems scary, but I promise you there's a reason for everything. Remember how the top of this thing, because of the red tint, looked kind of like a warhead? Well, now we're really putting that nuclear touch on the top of it. Yeah, okay, that's looking better. It's got that kind of gaudy Vegas quality to it. Also, why is my nuclear reactor already showing signs of wear and tear? I haven't even hooked it up yet. And of course, we want it to look classy, right? Like, look at all the crap already floating around this thing. That majestic crown up there deserves the finest curb appeal. So first, let's make sure to loop this stuff through everything so that everything is nicely irradiated. Okay, yeah.
Okay, but that's going to be a huge problem when water eventually releases, won't it? Because this is going to put your entire factory at a standstill.
This'll do. B+ at best. So we're gonna take these fuel rods and we're gonna feed them in through the bottom of the cocoon. That way the entire thing can maintain its visual splendor. Okay, there we go. Everything is properly irradiated.
Absolutely
now all we need to do is connect it to the power grid. Thankfully, because of the bounce pads floating in the air over here, there's already a bunch of power lines just ready for me to connect to. God, look at that burst in power right there. Now we gotta deal with my favorite thing, nuclear waste. The waste is all gonna come out of right here. And as is my custom, we're only gonna use the finest, slowest belts we can. Now all we need to do is just run this belt full of byproduct goodness all the way down to the edge of these barrels. And just to make it a tad more convenient, I'm gonna send the nuclear waste down in one of these splitters using the power of conveyor lift technology. Thank God these things can just keep going lower and lower and lower. Look at that, you can just have it hand delivered right to the ground. You know what I think I'm gonna do with all this nuclear stuff? I'm just gonna add a merger to where these iron rods are coming out, and I'm just gonna mix these in with the iron rods. Oh yeah, I'm sure this won't be a problem at all. Well, there it goes. Join your friends. You know, though, with 2 power plants, I still feel like we're not producing enough nuclear waste.
That was a horrible idea.
Much better. There's like 50 power plants back there. But this actually poses a new problem. While our power capacity is amazing, our consumption is conservative at best. And in order for these things to start chewing through those fuel rods, we actually have to get our power consumption up. Otherwise, they're just going to sit here idly. Which is great if you're trying to build an efficient efficient factory. It's not so great if you want your main export to be nuclear waste. And God, do we want more of these barrels. And to do that, we're going to turn to our old friend train technology. And the reason for that is because trains generate electricity, and I can...
Yeah, but they don't generate that much electricity, do they? I guess it depends on how big your train platform is and how many trains you have looping. So maybe
set them to go forever. So test one station here and another station here. Let's put a train down and do a quick test. As you can see, firing this thing up, it goes around and around and around, generating not nearly as much as I would like, but hey, it's generating something. Something else interesting we can do is we can connect trains together. And while each train in and of itself doesn't take up more power to function like this, they all have to fire up their engines to move. That's a nice little power push for not doing a whole lot. And
I didn't think of that. I was pretty sure it should be about the same.
I'll know this power output matters. If I see barrels piling up here, I know it's working. Now I'm interested to see if we can generate some power faster. Test number 2, in which case we see if adding some rails that go up increases how much power it takes.
They're gonna run into each other?
I gave it a little more distance, mostly because I don't know how to use train tracks very well. Let's play conductor and see how it goes. So as always, when you first start it out, it does take a lot of power. Downhill does a little bit less for the power. Once the train gets moving, it takes up less because it's already got that speed going. So here's...
Huh. Did they add the ability for trains to run into each other in a later update?
My current running theory.
I swear
maximum
they could run into each other.
Combined with maximum train stations means tons of stopping and starting, meaning tons of power generated. You know, I have an idea how we can test this, but I got to build something real fast.
I mean,
so
it might just be better to build more factories and just stack them.
Okay, here's test number whatever this is. I sure hope it goes.
I guess it would be different if you had blueprints. If you had blueprints, it would be totally different because then you could build a lot of things really quickly that would just wipe out the power grid. But yeah, this was way before that.
It's okay. It's essentially one gigantic loop that goes through all of these tracks.
I don't know if this is going to work.
It's not particularly pretty or elegant. Hey, the whole point is just to generate electricity. Okay, now we've added the trains. In case you're curious, this is 188 trains, all connected together, taking up the entire track start to finish. And it's all automated, so the trains will just loop through this disaster forever. There are 23 total stations they go through, aptly named Pulp, before looping back around. You know what pains me most about this? It's not that it's actually semi-orderly, although that also pains me. It's how freaking slow everything's going. I didn't realize that would be the thing that drives me nuts. But enough talk, how's it doing for our power? At an idle state, about 6,000, not too bad. When the trains start up again, it hits a nice healthy 12,000. That's still a far cry from maxing out our potential with 100,000. But before I go nuts and start laying out more track, let's at least see if we're exporting any of the good stuff now. And by that, of course, I mean nuclear waste. Yeah, this'll do. This'll do nicely. That's a lot of barrels. I think this is working out quite well. So normally the goal would be to try to figure out where to put this stuff so it doesn't do any harm. But why would you want to hide something so majestic? Now me, I look at my base and I see something that's missing, and I think this has a chance to be a real showpiece.
Nuclear waste running through the entire thing.
Well, that's looking just swell. Oh yeah, feels good. This is looking...
Jeez, that'd be a literal nightmare to get rid of.
Great. So one might look at this and get the impression that I covered the entirety of my base in nuclear waste. And you'd be right. Up to and definitely including the weave. Which if I do say...
Okay, so he cut the weave off from the coal because he obviously doesn't need that anymore, and he just rerouted it all through the weave.
So myself has never looked better. It's kind of like this is a waste disposal site, except above ground, and advertising its presence. Oh my god, the radiation is so bad. If I die and I have to respawn in, I just die instantly. I've made the base so hostile I can't even be here anymore. And also the spaghetti of my base is just completely out of control now. But damn, that nuclear waste looks so vibrant.
Okay, so if you're ever gonna do this, make sure your hub is nowhere near this thing at all.
In the moonlight. So I feel like this is how this base was gonna end up. Nuclear waste
you're
everywhere,
gonna have to force
power
restart
plants
it.
as far as the eyes can see. Our conveyor NATO that turned into a conveyor cocoon now has a warhead aiming up to the heavens. And thank God I can use these bounce pads to just bask in it all while I fly off. Oh, and thank my lucky stars, the frame rate's gotten kind of bad again. I'd like to thank NordVPN again for sponsoring this video. And don't forget, if you head on over to nordvpn.com/gameitout, you can get 70% off their 3-year plans. And don't forget...
Okay, to be fair, you can get 70% off anytime you want to go over there anyway. In fact, it's usually 78% off. But yeah, go use the Game It Out's whatever code, because obviously
Forget
it's
to
worth
put
it.
in Game It Out at checkout as well to
You'll
get
help
another
him.
month free. So I
You can
think
buy
that's going
another
to do it
house
for
or
this
maybe another
episode. Hope you
computer.
had fun. I know I did. I'm going to go check and see if I'm growing a third arm from all this radiation.
Okay, this one was pretty funny, but I really liked the supermarket one. That one was hilarious. Go watch both of those. Those are great. You don't have to watch them on my channel, but definitely watch them on Let's Game It Out's channel. Yep, that was pretty funny. I'm really waiting for Liquid to be added because I want to see the nightmare that creates. Jeez. Anyway, have a good day, everyone.